time. It's time for every one of us. If we get knocked down, we won't just get up. It's time we all rise up. Rise up. When stars step up. When a dome stands up. When a city lights up. Rise up. We all rise up together. Touchdown. When we come on the field, we rise up. Rise up. From kickoff to the last play, we rise up. This is our time, Atlanta. We've been knocking on the door. Now it's time to blow it up. Tell me, what do Falcons do? Rise up. What do Falcons do? Falcons rise up. That's what I'm talking about.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of All In with Nate. This is the Falcon Texans recap. As you see, my boy Julian's not with me right now. He is going to be on the show with me sometime this week. We're gonna cover the first 5 games of the season, but I had to go ahead and knock this one out. The Falcons, as you see in the title below, they won 21-19 against the Houston Texans to improve to 3-2. That was a ball game where the Falcons actually had to win that game because New Orleans blew out New England Sunday. Tampa's 3-1. You don't want to fall too far behind in the playoff hunt if you're the Falcons, because the reality is at 3-2, you're in the thick of the NFC South race. You have not played Tampa yet. You got Tampa in 2 weeks. You got New Orleans next month. So you got to start winning those games now. And this was a game where the Falcons offense was up and down. This was probably Desmond Ritter's better game. He actually had over 300 yards passing and 1 touchdown. He had a rushing touchdown as well. But I feel that the Falcons offense is still not 100% clicking like they should be. I think there are signs that this team is on the way to having a really good start to the year, but the Falcons offense still got some kinks they got to work out. And thankfully, our defensive unit has been solid enough to where even in games where the Falcons are up and down offensively, they're able to make that big play that you need in order to close this game out. So now the offense had to drive for the win this previous game. However, the defense holding another opponent to 19 points is amazing. And the defense currently comes into this week as the number 10 unit. They are not giving up that many points. But before we get deep into this game, let's hit some of these highlights real quick from the victory that the Atlanta Falcons had just a few days ago, actually. Let's go ahead and let me pull this up and we'll get started. Pulling up these highlights as we speak, and let me go full screen and we can get started. All right, here we go. Let me take myself, mute this, bring this a little lower. Okay, this was early in the game. Jonnu Smith, I've noticed the Falcons have been getting him involved a lot over the last couple of weeks, which I feel that Kyle Pitts started working stuff back into the offense. This was a great play call. And actually, Drake London threw that ball a little bit better than Desmond Ridder did. No jab at Desmond Ridder, but that was a good play that extended this drive. This is a touchdown drive that we had in the first quarter. But as you see, Jonnu Smith been getting involved a lot in this offense. And I can't speak enough about this guy right here. His stats may not have showed it in this previous game, but this guy is special, man. He is special. I'm so glad the Falcons actually put that pick on him, looking back at it. This is a big completion to Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts started getting really involved in this game. And that's something that we've all been screaming for the last couple of weeks, that this offense needed to get Kyle Pitts going at some point. And I think this was a tremendous play call to give us a 7-3 lead. We need to run a little more read options in the goal line because, we are a run-first team in a lot of ways. So I feel that the Falcons need to incorporate this on a regular basis. I thought this was one of the better play calls that Arthur Smith dialed up on Sunday.
Now you're lead blocking out on the edge. Getting down there.
And see, this just gave us a 7-3 lead. And the defensive unit had a couple of solid plays in the game. This was a great tackle by Lorenzo Carter. I love the fact when the Falcons actually line him and Ebiketie up on the outside or even Bud Dupree, because they always tend to make a pretty good play. And this was a very, very risky pass that Ritter threw, but Matt Collins just made a great play on that. And this was a tremendous play call. They had Keith Smith coming out the backfield. Like I said, Arthur Smith called some really good plays on Sunday that I feel that we haven't seen a lot of, and I hope we get a chance to see him open that playbook up a little bit more. This was just great effort by Kyle Pitts. Ritter got that ball out in enough time because that line does have moments where it break down on him, so you gotta get that ball off when you can. Now, this was a smart move by Desmond Ritter. I was very glad to see him get out the pocket and throw that ball. You got to start utilizing your feet. He's a mobile quarterback, and I think that this is something that's still trying to come to him as he plays more. And this was another good throw from Desmond Ritter that game, getting the ball to Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts opened up the offense in a lot of ways on Sunday afternoon. And I thought this was a huge play by Mecole Pruitt, who got a couple of big plays last season in the Falcon offense. And this next play, what can we even say? We already know what's coming next. This was a absolutely ridiculous play. This man caught it one-handed. It gave us a lead. That was an incredible play. That was an incredible play by Bijan Robinson. We haven't seen that shovel pass in a while. I know a lot of you Falcon fans probably remember seeing Matt Ryan and Jason Stelly used to call this play all the time, but this was a great catch by Bijan Robinson to give us a lead. And I don't know if they're going to show the 2-point conversion. Yes, they are. Thought this was another great quick play call, and Tyler Algier gave us a 3-point lead at the time. So this put us up 3. The stadium was rocking the whole game, too. I got to give it to the crowd at the Benz. They really were great. And this was a great catch by Drake London. He made it where only he could catch that ball. I love this play by Drake London. Yeah, there's a handoff to Tyler Algier. This was a nice run by Algier to give us a first down. Algier, he definitely, when he needs to make that big run, he's going to give it to us. This is another grit throw to Drake London. I hate it. This is the field goal drive where we hit the game winner field goal, and Young Oku hit the game winner. For some reason, I was at the game, so I didn't know that this happened live, but for some reason, it cut out during the game. I heard a lot of folks talking about it happening to their TV. I don't know what Fox had going on, but Falcons win 21-19, get to 3-2. It's a good win for the Falcons considering the circumstances. However, there are things that can be worked on in this game. Number one, I'm thankful we got the win. You need to win the ball games that you're supposed to win. I had us going 3-2 the first 5 weeks before the season even started. I had us Detroit's better than I thought they were going to be. I thought they were going to be good this year, but Detroit looked like they could be one of the dark horses in the NFC this year. Now, I don't know if they are Super Bowl ready, but they're a really good team. Jacksonville, that was a winnable ball game. The offense just did not show up. But all in all, it's a win. You get what you can earn in this league. You have to play the schedule that you're receiving. So anybody that's saying, oh, it's the Texans. The Texans have played better football under DeMeco Ryans. C.J. Stroud is going to be really good for them. I hope DeMeco Ryans get the opportunity to really build this team because the Texans are headed in the right direction. They got some pieces there. I think the Texans really are on the rise in the AFC South. That was a tough game they gave us, and they're going to be a tough game for anybody that has to play them coming up because they could have very well won that game. The highlights wouldn't show it, but C.J. Stroud threw an absolute dot to Dalton Schultz to get him the lead late in that game, which even put us down 19-18. But if you are the Falcons, you win You got another home win. You're 3-0 at home. You got the Commanders coming in, who's coming off a very bad loss to the Bears. You should win this ball game coming up. But before we dive into that, first I want to go talk about the offense. The offense, I still have my ups and downs with the consistency on offense. I thought Desmond Ridder played one of his better games of his career this game. I want to see that consistently. I still think quarterback is a issue, but at the same time, this was technically his 9th or 10th start. So this is a guy that's still learning the league, still learning the game, but at the same time, this is more of a maturation period for Desmond Ridder. And this is not to say that he's going to be the starter long term, but you definitely saw some potential in this win. As far as the offensive inconsistencies, we had 2 really bad turnovers, really bad fumbles. The first one, the ball just got knocked out of Bijan Robinson's arm. He's a rookie. That's his first fumble. You knew it was coming at some point. It just happened at that moment. Thankfully, the defense held strong and they kicked the field goal. Now, the Jonnu Smith fumble was absolutely awful. You hold on to that football, that actually negated a drive where the Falcons possibly could have scored a touchdown that drive and put yourself in position to not even have to kick game-winning field goal. But the offense have too many inconsistencies about themselves or lack thereof. There are times where they don't get this offense going like they should. And what I mean by that is there are plenty of times where receivers are getting open. Like Drake London have moments where he's one-on-one. Kyle Pitts finally got involved, and I hope they consistently continue to get to the guy. I've heard that he's not 100% healthy right now, but at the same time, I think the Falcons need to do a little bit more of utilizing your receivers. They got a chance to get Scotty Miller a little bit involved in the game. You have receivers that you brought in specifically to open this pass attack up. You have to start opening this passing attack up before you get deeper into your schedule, because you're going to start playing against teams, and the Texans did it on Sunday as well. They're going to start stacking the box because everybody knows the Falcons run the ball. The Falcons run the ball. So you need to be able to come out and hit them with a play action, come out and hit them with a big pass on a third down or early on the first down. And I think today, on Sunday, we got a chance to see a lot of that take place within the offense. But there were times where the offense would get going, you got to kick a field goal. Or they would get going, you had a boneheaded penalty or some person dropped a pass or a fumble. There was a couple of just inconsistent things about the team. And I feel that you need to clean those things up going forward, because as you get ready, because the reality is this, as I just mentioned, the Falcons are 3-0. I mean, 3-0 at home at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. This next game against the Commanders is their 4th home game in the first 6 weeks. After this home game, the Falcons go to Tampa and Tennessee. We got Minnesota at home. Then we go on another home. We go on the road again, and then we go on a bye week before we play the Saints. The Falcons have 2 home games after this week in the next 6 to 7 weeks. You got to go ahead and start getting yourself together, because when you get on this road, and let's be perfectly honest about this thing, the Falcons have only not trailed in the Panther football game, which was week 1. They were down in the Texans game. It was 12-7 going into the 4th quarter. They were down in the Green Bay game by as much as 12. You cannot keep getting yourself behind and having to claw your way back in. Now, I love the resiliency of this ball club, but you got to start consistently jumping on teams when you can. You got to stay in these games when you can, because if you go on the road and you go down double digits against a better football team, the game is over. That's what happened, them 2 losses in London and in Detroit. You got to start finding some consistency early on in the game, because a lot of people are giving you the ball first. So this offense has to get it together going down the road. Because once again, you're 3-2 in a division where New Orleans and Tampa both have 3 wins. These are winnable. You have games that you're going to have coming up that you're going to have to perform. Because the reality is this NFC South is going to be wide open all year long. Tampa is better than I think most people thought they would be. New Orleans is New Orleans. So you got to get your games when you get the opportunity. They got Houston coming in their building this upcoming week, and we have the Commander. So you got to handle your business at home. I still have my gripes with Arthur Smith and the somewhat inconsistency in that play calling. I feel like this was his better game today. I mean, on Sunday, excuse me, I keep saying today. But with the Falcons, you need to start. You have been brought in to be a dominant guy on the offense. We knew you could come in and run the ball effectively. The Falcons got to start getting this offense going on both sides. There's talent, too much talent on this team to be in a lot of the struggles that we've been in offensively. I'm not sure if a lot of you are aware. The Falcons have scored, and I want to put this on the screen so I can show you all as I'm talking about it. Let me pull this up so you guys can see this. The Atlanta Falcons have scored 83 points through 5 games. That is 27 in the league, which is the 6th least in football. However, our defense is number 10 in points given up per game. To this point, they're giving up 19.2 points a game, which is 10th in the league. The Falcons' offense is scoring 16.6. That is not enough points to win ball games in the National Football League consistently. It got to change. So this offense is still on the clock. They got to get better because going forward, you're going to have to be able to score. And I want to stroll down to the teams. Excuse all these pop-ups, everyone. Just scroll down to the teams' team stats and rankings. Let's go into that. Right now, the Falcons, as I mentioned, they're 27 in points a game. The passing attack looks like this. They're 26 in attempts. They're 23rd in yards. They're 27 in touchdown passes, and they've thrown 3 picks. It's not enough offense coming from the passing attack on this team. On the flip side, running the ball, we've been number 8 in rushing attempts, 13th in rushing, 14th in rushing touchdowns, 19th in yards per attempt. The Falcons run the ball more than most people in this league. This is a position where you got to get better as far as moving the ball, scoring points, and potentially having a consistent group week in and week out. The reality is, when you look at these stats through 5 weeks, the Atlanta Falcons offense has held this team back a lot. Now, they got over the hump and won the game Sunday, but this offense got to get better. As you see, going deeper into the stats, they're starting around the 26-yard line. That's 28th in the league. That's where their average drives are starting. And everything is pretty much middle of the pack or lower. Well, on the flip side, you have a defense that is number 10 in points allowed. That is pretty good in both categories. They're doing enough to where you've been able to be in every single ball game. This offense is on the clock to get better as we go forward. You're going to see teams with a little bit better on their defensive line. As you see coming up. This is our game coming up. This was the second most yardage that we've had all season. We just eclipsed the Green Bay game by a yard. We had 351 passing, and we didn't have a crazy day on the ground. However, they got that passing attack going, and this is something that needs to be seen consistently. If this team plan on making the playoffs this year, this has to get better, and has to get better quick. And that's where he goes back to your head coach. Because I'm going to be honest with you guys. If the Falcons would have lost on Sunday, we will be having a different conversation right now. It will be potentially, is it time to fire Arthur Smith? Is this group, did we have too many expectations on this group? So 3-2 is great for us. We need to get better on offense coming forward. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, as I mentioned, the defense has really been solid to the point where these are certain ball games that could have got away from the Falcons. The Texans had 2 turnovers. We didn't force a single turnover. We should have had one. Jesse Bates nearly had his 4th pick of the season. And by the way, let me go ahead and get that out of the way. Jesse Bates has been outstanding for the Falcons. That was a great investment, and I don't know how Cincinnati let him walk out that building. They are crazy. I get it. When you're a Super Bowl team from 2 years ago, you got to pay your guys, but there's no way I let that guy out my building. No way. No way, no how. Not happening. But as I mentioned, the Falcons have to start getting better on that offense because that defense is doing enough. To give up 19 points, that game could have got away from the Falcons. Honestly, it could have. We scored the first quarter and didn't score another touchdown until that 4th quarter with that Bijan Robinson ridiculous touchdown catch. That's not going to win you ball games when you need it the most. Your defense cannot be on the field too long to cost you opportunities to win a ball game. That offense got to start being consistent. Now, the time of possession is going to show a lot different. But again, the Falcons, they have too many inconsistent spurts. They got to get going consistently. And let me bring up the stats as I talk about that as well. Let me bring this up. Let's go to, this is the box score, or game cast. Let me go to the box score. All right. The box score shows this. CJ Stroud was 20 of 35 with 249 yards and that touchdown pass. The Falcons did a pretty good job. They contained him. And that's what all you needed. For the Falcons, as you see, Desmond Ridder, 28 of 37, 329, a touchdown, no picks, no sacks. By the way, let me go ahead and give some props to the Falcon offensive line, especially right tackle Stormy Norton, who came in after Caleb McGarry went down with an injury during the ball game. He blocked very well on that right side throughout the game, especially as the Falcons were making their move in that 4th quarter to come back and win. So, got to give him props. He really did play well on that right side. That offensive line had one of their better days this game. Moving along to the rushing totals, Dameon Pierce had 20 for 66. This is a great game if you're the Falcons defense, because if you're carrying the ball 20 times and only 66 carries, you're giving up 3 yards a carry. That's great. For the Falcons, they ran the ball a lot. Bijan had 14 for 46. Tyler had 17 for 40. They got back to running the ball, which they're typically going to do. 38 passes, 36 rushing attempts is good in a ball game. That's the type of game that you want. You want that level of balance if you're the Falcons. Now, receiving totals, Dawson Schultz led the Texans in receiving. Tank Dell was having a good game before he got hurt. I hope he helps for them because he actually was having a good game. Nico Collins, 3 for 39. Robert Woods had that one big completion in the 4th quarter. And the Falcons pass defense really did a good job keeping that Texans group from really having a big day because CJ Stroud been balling previously. He cut up against the Pittsburgh Steelers previous week. But as far as the Falcons, Kyle Pitts, 7 of 87. Kyle Pitts finally was getting that ball a lot. And I think it made Desmond Ridder a lot more comfortable going forward. Drake London, 6 of 78. Jonnu Smith, 6 of 67. He had a goofy fumble in the game, but still he's been really productive. As you see, Matt Hollins got 2 for 29. Keith Smith had that big 28-yarder. Miko Pruitt had that big 22-yarder to set up that Bijan Robinson touchdown, as you see on there. Cordero Hodge got the ball. Scotty Miller got the ball. Cordero Patterson got the ball, and Tyler Algier caught a pass. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 11 different Falcons that touched that ball. That's how you get the ball moving in the offense. You don't just settle on a few guys. This is going to win you ball games year in and year out. If you can get that game, you get that ball going against to all of them. Now, as far as the fumbles, as you see, the Falcons had 3 fumbles, actually. Cordero Hodge fumbled, but he recovered his. Bijan Robinson had a fumble and lost it. Jonnu had that fumble lost that I mentioned earlier. Now, as far as the defensive numbers, let me give props to Nate Landman for the Atlanta Falcons. He's had to step in for Troy Anderson. He has been really good in that linebacking core. I still think the Falcons really need to address getting another linebacker. At times, they kind of get lost. When tight ends kind of get open in that scheme, but I feel like the Falcons do a really good job with their linebackers. I think linebackers do well enough. On the Texas side of things, Henry Tutu, the rookie out of Alabama, he has been balling for him. Jalen Petrie had a good game. Blake Cashman had a good game. So, those guys had a good showing. As far as on our side, D. Alford had a very good tackle for a loss. I think he's really been stepping up for the Falcons, especially in that slot position. Grady Jarrett and Calais had 4 and 3 tackles respectively. Jesse Bates really had he almost had an interception in this game. Richie Grant's been playing pretty good on the opposite side of him as well. Arnett Bukaty had 3, as you see. It's kind of a balanced day as far as getting tackles. No picks. Cordero Patterson had 1 kick return. Mike Hughes had a punt return. Kicking, as you can see, Bradley Pinion had a couple of punts. And by the way, the Falcons had a good home crowd, 69,461. So a good day at the office for the Falcons. They got to lock in to get this next home game against the Washington Commanders. I think that the Falcons can win that ball game. But again, salute to Desmond Ridder for your best game of your career. I just need to see a little more consistency from this Atlanta Falcon offense, because your defense is good enough to put you in the position to make a playoff run. And I'm not saying going deep in the playoffs. I'm saying getting into the postseason, because you haven't had a winning year in 6 seasons. That's the goal right now. Get to over 500, continue to make strides in the right direction. So although we've had our ups and downs with Desmond Ridder the last couple of weeks, he had a good game. I want to see it consistently. I hope he consistently shows us that he is that guy that can get the Falcons offense clicking further. Defensively, I love this defense. I still think the defense is a pass rusher away from being really, really good. They're good now. They've been just one of the better defenses we've had in the last 7 or 8 years. But I think that this defense is a pass rusher away from being a really top-tier defense. The stats are showing pretty good for them so far. But again, that's what it comes down to. Now, coming into this Commanders game, you need to win this game. Get the 4-2 at home, and then take your chances on the road and see what you guys can do at Tampa and at Tennessee, because that's a big NFC South game. It wouldn't shock me if they decide to actually flex that NFC South game for the Tampa Bay Falcon game. I wouldn't be shocked. But again, good win for the Falcons. You improved to 3-2. And coming up, I will be back with my boy Julian. We're going to talk about the first 5 weeks. I hope you guys are going to be on there, tuned in, watching. Drop your comments to us, because we definitely want to get all the Falcon questions out the way that we need to get. But great win for the Atlanta Falcons. Until next time, this has been All In with Nate, recapping the Falcons and Texans. And good luck to them on Sunday. I will be there. I hope you all go out and show your love to the Falcons. The crowd been coming out. I need y'all to consistently keep showing up, showing out. It's a good crowd. It's a good atmosphere. Let's make that home crowd. Let's keep that stadium rocking, because it was a good crowd considering the opponent. Because sometimes the Falcon fans will sell the tickets real cheap. They don't show up to the game, or they'll tailgate or whatever. But I think that the Falcons' home atmosphere has been pretty good this year. I think it's carried the Falcons through them 3 wins for sure. But I think the Falcons, as a team, need to continue to put them wins on the board. Keep getting the fans in the seats because you're putting something in a positive way together in Atlanta. So let's look forward to see what next week brings. But until next time, this has been an episode of All In with Nate. Rise up and enjoy the rest of your week.